this last week, Ultimate X-Men #4 by Peach Momoko came out, and I just wanted to break down the whole series because unfortunately it's kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I wanted to break down exactly why that is. So far in the story, we've been introduced to Hisako, Armor, May Storm, and a fortune teller named Minoru, and in this last issue at the end of it we got a glimpse of a character by the name of Surge. Now, 3 of these characters are based off of characters in the 616. Armor, Minoru, and Surge are all characters in the 616. Minoru is one of the ones I find more interesting just because she's from the Runaways, which was a interesting little series that was done in the early 2000s. The villain seems to be the Shadow King, although that's yet to be confirmed. And he has been killing Hisako's classmates, or, well, making them kill themselves. So that it appears as suicides, but she kind of understands that there's something more going on here. And a lot of what's been going on so far really is that they're just discovering that they have powers. And in issue #3, they discovered that they were mutants. And in this last issue, the, I guess, big moment was Hisako, after getting confronted by what seemed like the Shadow King. She got filmed by a bunch of her classmates, and then May Storm stepped in using her electricity powers to break everybody's phone and try and make sure the video didn't get spread, but in the end it did get spread, and I'm pretty sure that's because the Surge character stopped their phone from getting destroyed due to their electricity powers. So it's been really slow so far, an incredibly slow burn, in fact. I am my thoughts on this are actually very messy, and that's because the story seems very messy to me. I don't feel like this does a very good job of displaying the X-Men, really, at all. It isn't a very respectful version, or respectful to the history of the X-Men. It takes place mainly in Japan. We haven't caught sight of any of the original X-Men so far, and it's being billed, from what I've seen interviews and different articles, as it being a feminine or all-female team, which traditionally is not the X-Men. It's supposed to be a mixture of people and kind of be the example that it doesn't really matter what you look like or what you believe entirely. It's a group of people who are united by the fact that they are all the same people, and they fight for that. So this doesn't seem to be moving in that same route, and that's just a little bit disappointing. Another thing is, I don't really see this going anywhere, just because I don't see this fitting in well with the rest of the Ultimate Universe. The other books are kind of like serious political or social thrillers, and they're exploring different elements of this world, whereas this book is kind of just like a teen girl thing, and it seems to have been written for 12-year-old girls, which, not a bad thing. There's plenty of content out there for 12-year-old girls. I just don't think that really has a place in Marvel Comics. I think they're trying to attract an audience which just isn't going to come to Marvel Comics. So, and it kind of just disappoints me, and also I don't really see these 12-year-old girls fitting in really well with the rest of the Ultimates, all the other heroes in this universe. I see it actually backfiring a bit, because I don't think Doom is really going to get along with 12-year-old girls. The new Doom, that is, who's Reed Richards under the mask. My first draft of writing all this out was a lot cleaner, and I was breaking down plot and character development, pacing, all these different things, and really going into depth on the topics. But then I just realized that it didn't really deserve that, because this story's not really taking those elements seriously, and so I don't see any reason why I should kind of seriously analyze them. It's kind of just a fun little story, and something I will say is that the creator, Peach Momoko, she's doing all of this by herself, or at least that's what it's written as. She's writing it, drawing it and coloring it. And the reason I do the quotation marks for writing is because I watched a few interviews this morning and just researched Peach Momoko really quick, and she doesn't speak English, which I have no problem with that, more power to her. But no different from how books that get translated from one language to another, oftentimes the translation, it doesn't capture the actual story. And that's because while an apple is an apple, like manzana is apple in Spanish, and that there's not really a confusion to that. But what love means in another language is very different to another language, and that's due to the culture around which the language is structured too. And so this story, it's very simple in its writing, and I think that's simply due to the fact that there's a major language barrier here. And so as a result, it's very hard for the author, I think, to go into really in-depth topics. And I think that comes across. But, really what it comes down to, I think, is if you're an American comic book company writing comics for readers who are mainly English-speaking, you should probably have an English-speaking author. Just as simple as that. It is what connects you best to your readers. But aside from that, her doing a lot of this work herself, like, kudos. That's really cool. I love that. And that's part of why I do pick up the book still, because I find that very respectable. Aside from that, the art is really good. It's watercolor, I believe. It might be digital watercolor, but really neat stuff. And she does all of it herself, like I said, the coloring and lines and painting, I guess. It's really nice. And honestly, if she was just a cover artist, which is how I'm pretty sure she got her start, it would be awesome. Like, she could do amazing covers, and the covers do look a lot better than the interiors, and that's usually the case. That's because artists who work on covers have a lot more time to work on a cover than an artist who works on interiors. Usually you're trying to do a page in a day as an interior artist, so you can't put as many lines in there as usually you would like. Whereas a cover artist, you have multiple days to work on a cover, so you can add a lot more lines and a lot more detail, and that's why the covers look a lot better often. So honestly, if she were to do that, that'd be awesome still. And in fact, if this story were to be in its own little universe and Peach Momoko were to write for Marvel's Japanese line or something of that sort, I think this would be really popular, and it would be something that could be really cool. It's just, I don't think this works well with the Ultimate Universe as it's been billed, because it's not as serious as the other books, and I just don't see it working well with the others. And honestly, I just don't like some of the things, like the whole female X-Men and the whole fact that it's not even acknowledging any of the history of the X-Men. It's fine to reimagine the characters, but I don't want it to be something that kind of bastardizes what came before. So, all that being said, I'm going to pick it up to the 6th issue just to see what happens. But, unless something incredibly newsworthy happens with this book, I'm sure I'm probably not going to cover it again, because like I said, I think it's going to fizzle out. Thanks for watching, and check back in for more stuff.